Based on recent events in the past few days, and the various replies and final addresses from the Labour Party's legal team to INEC, Tinubu and Shettima's legal teams, and the APC, their legal strategy has become clearer compared to when the presidential election petition tribunal hearing began. One significant aspect of their strategy is not tendering their party agent copies of Forms EC8A in court. Instead, they relied solely on INEC certified true copies, CTCs, of Forms EC8A and other documents used in collating the election results. The probative value of INEC CTCs in election disputes is well known, as no other copy is superior to them. An example is the governorship election dispute between Hope Uzodinma and Emeka Ihedioha, where INEC declared Ihedioha as the winner, but couldn't provide INEC CTCs to support their claim. In contrast, Uzodinma presented police copies of the results, which hold a higher probative value over party agent copies. While this does not excuse the court's actions, it highlights the significance of presenting strong evidence in election disputes. The Labour Party's legal team, aware of the potential tactics their opponents might employ, opted for INEC CTCs to ensure their evidence couldn't be easily countered. They didn't want to risk submitting their agent copies and facing the possibility of forged INEC copies presented against them. The team's strategy has been to rely on evidence that cannot be easily disputed. By presenting INEC CTCs, they aim to strengthen their case and leave no room for counter-arguments. The mathematician's testimony during the trial, who completed the results for them, indicated that if given enough time, they could finish tabulating all the INEC CTCs, showing that the Labour Party won. However, the blurred and missing results remain a challenge, which they need to address further. In conclusion, the Labour Party's legal team's approach in using INEC CTCs as their primary evidence seems prudent and calculated. They aim to ensure that their case remains robust and well supported, leaving little room for their opponents to counter their evidence effectively. The Labour Party's confidence in their victory, despite missing and blurred results, lies in their computation of the election results using their own copies of the forms. During the presidential election, every political party performed similar computations. If INEC had not blocked the upload of presidential election results, the results collated by various parties' situation rooms would have been visible on the INEC Results Viewing Portal, IREV. Statements from many PDP members, including references to Labour Party votes in Lagos and Plateau State, suggest that the results announced by INEC did not reflect what parties collated in their situation rooms. Even Labaran Maku, a PDP chieftain and former minister, openly acknowledged Labour Party's victory. Despite the electoral law and regulations mandating the use of the BVS machine for capturing and uploading results to IREV, INEC, and other respondents have downplayed the importance of IREV. In their final address, they attempted to claim that INEC didn't do electronic collation, but Labour Party countered by citing Section 60, Subsection 5 of the Electoral Act, which authorizes INEC to use BVS machines and upload results to IREV. The law strictly prescribes penalties for any presiding officer who fails to comply. The Labour Party's legal team clarified that transmits or transfer refers to the transfer of digital files, a technical term derived from the ICT protocol called File Transfer Protocol. The BVS machine captures Form EC8A in digital format, and the polling officer transfers the digital form to a server, which is IREV. This procedure is covered in the Electoral Act and is explicitly detailed in the INEC manual guidelines and regulations. Regarding the missing and blurred results, the Labour Party requested the court to consider the blurred copies as the real results because none of the respondents challenged or countered them with superior evidence. These blurred copies were certified by INEC, who claimed to have used hard copies to collate the results. However, INEC did not replace the blurred copies with the hard copies before delivering the results to the Labour Party. Due to the absence of superior evidence, particularly Form EC8A with a higher probate value, the court must rely on the evidence available. The research conducted by the Labour Party revealed that over 2.5 million people were accredited and voted in the polling units with blurred results. This number exceeds the margin of lead between the candidates. making it clear that the result cannot stand according to the rule that requires the results to be accounted for when they are higher than the margin of lead. This scenario is reminiscent of the Uzodinma versus Ihedioha case, where the court declared the election inconclusive due to a similar situation. The current INEC chairman has also declared elections inconclusive in some states for the same reason. In conclusion, the Labour Party's legal strategy relies on strong evidence, the use of INEC CTCs, and adherence to electoral laws and regulations. They have sought to present evidence that cannot be easily countered and have highlighted the significance of IREV in ensuring transparent and accurate election results. In this situation, since the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal judges lack the power to declare the election inconclusive, the missing and blurred results become critical evidence. According to Labour Party's research, more than 39,000 polling unit results are inaccessible on IREV, accounting for about 5.5 million votes. When added to the 2.5 million votes from the blurred copies, the unaccounted votes amount to more than 8 million. This substantial noncompliance with electoral processes could significantly affect the election outcome. Cancellation of the presidential election is one of the reliefs sought by the Labour Party. They aim to demonstrate that the non-compliance was substantial and had a significant impact on the election result. If the election is cancelled, all candidates, including the 18 that contested initially, would participate in a fresh election, known as a rerun. The strategy of seeking cancellation is partly influenced by the fear that the hidden votes may have affected Labour Party as well. Even though they were able to prove victory in Rivers and Benue states based on visible results, they chose not to tender their own copies for fear of forged counter-evidence. Seeking a rerun is deemed a more feasible option than a runoff, since the latter requires proving a clear winner, which is complicated given the extent of non-compliance. Cancellation of the election might cancel out other reliefs sought by the Labour Party, such as declaring Peter Obi the winner. It raises questions about whether one can benefit from a flawed process if non-compliance influenced the outcome. Historically, no presidential election has been cancelled by the court in the Fourth Republic, making it a challenging outcome to achieve. People may have mixed feelings about cancellation due to cost implications, but it may be more acceptable if the major actors in the previous election are not involved in the rerun. If the court decides on cancellation, they must address the disqualification of the main beneficiary, Tinubu, who is facing credible grounds for disqualification. Mahmoud Yakubu's case can only be brought to court by the Attorney General, not a private citizen, as it requires state prosecution. All eyes are on the judiciary as the final addresses and replies by all parties have been submitted. The next step is the adoption of these addresses, after which the court will communicate the date for the judgment to be delivered. In the event of an unfavorable outcome, the losing party can appeal to the Supreme Court.